Breaking news. The Trump administration's legal battles are collapsing faster than anyone expected. But there's a twist you won't believe. Picture this: a U.S. senator, an astronaut, a decorated veteran, all caught in a legal firestorm. And what's the goal? To silence him. Why does this matter to you? Because it's not just a political scandal, it's a fight over your freedom to speak the truth. Hold on, we're about to break down the shocking details and expose what's really going on behind the scenes. Stick around because the story flips in ways you won't see coming. Senator Mark Kelly, a decorated Navy veteran and U.S. Senator, is in the fight of his life. This isn't just about one man. This is about the very right to speak out without fear of retaliation. The Trump administration is trying to punish him for telling the truth, and it's shaking the very foundations of military and political accountability. But here's the thing. This is part of a much bigger, more dangerous pattern. It's not the first time we've seen a high-ranking official use their power to silence critics, and it won't be the last. So here's the question. What happens when the government starts targeting its own people for speaking out? How much further will this go before it affects you? Let's be clear. This case against Senator Mark Kelly rests on nothing but smoke and mirrors. The Department of Defense has already walked back their initial threats, which included some of the most extreme punishments imaginable. But the damage is done. Kelly was publicly accused of undermining the military, despite the fact that all he did was remind soldiers of their duty to refuse illegal orders. Now, notice what's missing here. The administration hasn't shown a shred of evidence to back up their claims. No real proof, just hollow threats. This wasn't about justice. This was about intimidation, plain and simple. The kind of intimidation that could eventually silence anyone who dares speak out. And if they can do it to him, what's stopping them from doing it to you? But it gets worse. What we're seeing right now isn't an isolated incident. This is part of a troubling trend where power is used to punish those who refuse to fall in line. The situation has escalated to a point where former military officers are being threatened, silenced, and even attacked for standing up against injustice. This isn't just some one-off scandal. This is a pattern we've seen before in history. Think back to when military figures were silenced under authoritarian regimes. It's happening right here, right now. What was once unthinkable is now becoming the new normal. Punishing military veterans, persecuting senators, this is becoming business as usual under this administration. And if we don't wake up, it might be too late to stop it. The evidence keeps stacking up, and it's even more disturbing than we first thought. While the initial threats were extreme, they were quickly walked back. Yet the damage isn't just in the words used, but in the chilling message they send. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth didn't just stop at accusing Kelly. No, he's trying to set a precedent where veterans, especially high-ranking ones, can be punished for simply speaking their minds. And this is the turning point. What's even more alarming is the contradiction at the heart of this. The government claims it's protecting national security, yet it's actively undermining the very freedoms that military personnel fight to defend. Here's why this changes everything. It's no longer just about Mark Kelly. This is about whether anyone can speak out against this administration without fear of retaliation. And if we let this go unchecked, what does that mean for the rest of us? Now, let's stack a few more shocking developments. First, we have the complete reversal of the Department of Defense's position, which initially hinted at extreme actions like court-martialing Kelly. But after the pressure mounted, those threats fell apart, only to be replaced with more empty administrative punishments. It's as if they were just testing the waters to see how far they could push. Then we have the silence from other high-ranking military officers. Veterans who should be speaking out are now laying low, afraid to face the same persecution. Even generals who once stood as beacons of leadership have gone quiet. Finally, look at the political ramifications. This is an election year, and the administration is ramping up its efforts to shut down any dissent. These aren't just threats against one person. They're sending a signal to anyone who dares challenge the status quo. What happens if this continues? If this is the new normal, we may be witnessing the erosion of free speech and democracy right before our eyes. Now, let's bring this closer to home. This isn't just about political figures and military officials. This affects you, whether you realize it or not. Imagine living in a country where speaking your mind can cost you everything: your career, your reputation, and even your personal safety. That's what's at stake here. Mark Kelly isn't just fighting for his own rights, he's fighting for every American who believes in the power of truth and accountability. When veterans like Kelly are targeted for standing up, it sends a message that anyone, especially ordinary citizens, could be next. If this feels familiar, say so in the comments. Because the fact is, we've all seen this before in different forms. People are silenced for speaking out, and it's not just political, it's personal. This isn't just about one lawsuit. This is about whether we'll allow fear to take control of our country or if we'll push back and protect the rights that so many have fought to preserve. Let's step back for a moment. What's really going on here? The issue isn't just about one person being targeted. It's about a system that's designed to intimidate, silence, and control. There are forces at play here that go beyond individual power struggles. This is about how the machinery of government can be weaponized to suppress dissent. Look at the bigger picture. The system is built on fear, leverage, and spectacle. The message being sent is clear. Challenge the status quo and you'll pay the price. This isn't just about protecting the military or national security. It's about maintaining control and keeping people in line. But here's the unsettling part. These tactics aren't just happening in the military. They're creeping into every corner of American life. The real question is, who benefits when people are too afraid to speak out? This is the mechanism of power at work, and it's a lot more dangerous than it might seem at first glance. It's not just about a single scandal, it's about what happens when people stop holding power accountable. So where do we go from here? There are two possible paths, and both are filled with uncertainty. On one hand, if this continues, the trend we're seeing could spiral even further. We might witness more silencing of dissent, more intimidation, and a government that feels increasingly above the law. It could lead to a chilling effect on free speech where the fear of reprisal keeps everyone quiet. But there's another path. The rising backlash against this kind of overreach is palpable. People are waking up to the danger, and there's growing momentum for change. The question is, will this spark real action? Will we see a movement to reclaim our rights and restore accountability? The next few months will be pivotal. The momentum is building, but will it be enough to shift the tide? The next move is already in motion, and we can't afford to ignore it. Here's the key takeaway. What we're seeing now is bigger than one person, one case, or even one administration. This is about the fight for the very freedoms we claim to protect. If we let this trend continue unchecked, the consequences will be far-reaching, but the real power lies in what happens next. Will we allow fear and intimidation to win, or will we take a stand and protect the rights that make America, America? The clock is ticking, and the next chapter is already being written. What happens in the coming months will define the future of this country, and it starts with you. So if you want to stay on top of this evolving story, make sure to follow for more analysis. Let's keep pushing for truth, accountability, and a stronger, more resilient democracy.